It's been 3 years since WandaVision, and we're finally getting the long awaited Agatha Harkness spin off. Agatha All Along is now available to watch on Disney Plus and Disney Plus Hotstar. And I don't know how to tell people about this show because I really don't want to say anything that'll ruin the experience of the first episode.
Mm.
The first episode takes place, and if you've watched any television over the last 3 years, you are going to be delighted at what they do in that first episode because it is fucking great.
Yeah.
And fits completely within the concepts introduced in WandaVision.
Yep.
So Bahir and I got to watch the first 4 episodes. There are 9 episodes of this series. And I think going into it, the biggest thing we need to remind people of is that comic books aren't just about superheroes. I think Agatha All Along explores one of the most fascinating sides of Marvel Comics. And there are many sides of Marvel Comics. There are the superhero sides that we see all of the time. There is the space galactic sides. Jack Kirby did a whole bunch of existential godlike stuff in Marvel and DC. And then there is also the supernatural magic side of Marvel. We saw a little bit of it in Werewolf by Night, and we really, really loved that. And I think Agatha All Along is our first deep dive into the supernatural world of Marvel. This series is absolutely fucking batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy is a great way to describe this series.
I'm amazed that they greenlit this stuff. Like, it
Yeah.
feels so out of step with the controlled environment that Marvel Studios has kind of crafted. But Jack Schaefer, who is the creator of this show, and she also did WandaVision, just lets loose. Like, it's wild.
It also feels like the kind of thing that the TV division is allowed to do.
Experiment.
Yeah, they experiment. They're allowed to play a little bit. I mean, I love Michael Giacchino as a composer, but nobody else would tell a composer, sure, go direct this pulpy black and white horror monster thing for us.
To be fair, even the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special was completely out of left field.
So it really feels like Marvel Studios, at least the TV side, are willing to play a little more. And Agatha All Along is a perfect balance of that play, I think. Like, I enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special or holiday special, but that felt a little too out of step for me. It just felt a little too silly for my liking, despite it being very much on brand for those characters. Werewolf by Night is more on the other side. It felt too serious. Like, I wanted more of that than to just be a one-off. Like, I'd have loved to see that as a feature. I'd love to see that as a long-form TV series. But Agatha All Along fits right in the middle of that. It's both silly and yet is a very serious attempt at telling an Agatha Harkness story.
And the focus is on Agatha Harkness. Sure, she has her coven of witches as well, and that's the whole story, right? What happens to Agatha after Wanda fucks her up at the end of
Yes.
WandaVision?
Yeah.
And how does she get out of this situation? By reforming her coven of witches and going down the witches' road in an attempt to kind of discover who she is and who they are as a coven. There are really fascinating stories based around each of these witches that are in Agatha's coven. And I found myself truly interested, not just in the idea of the witches' road, but in their individual stories as well. And I think that for me is symbolic of great world building because for the first time in a long time, and this is the 11th Marvel TV series, for the first time in a long time, it feels like something new to me. It feels like
Yep.
the world building is fresh. And it's a side of the Marvel universe I haven't experienced before. It's not your same superhero origin story over again. They also make reference to Mephisto, finally. And I'm just like, woohoo, Mephisto! Will he show up? Who knows? Maybe it was just a name drop. But finally, Marvel are embracing Mephisto.
They're acknowledging its existence. which is great.
Exactly. One of the craziest fucking characters in the Marvel universe. And I'm like, just do it, guys. Just do it. Just go nuts.
Just pull the trigger. Just do it. I actually think there will be a lot of people who will have some issues with Agatha only because they don't realize that the comics are this wild.
Correct.
Just like how some people were disappointed with some of the Thor stuff. Like, no, the comics are pretty fucking crazy.
They got to go back and read some of the stuff in the 1970s, lah.
Oh, I can't even touch that shit. That's just too out there for my liking. Like, look, the comics have been around for 80 plus years. There have been shifts in storytelling, there have been shifts in audience members, right? Like, initially it was for the kids, and then they made it for people who were slightly older, then they made it for people who were even older than that. So the crazies just keep coming, you know. You mentioned Kirby, like, come on, man. For a long time, Marvel very seriously considered and dealt with and treated a character who is an alien duck.
That is true.
I'm sorry, but if you think Taika Waititi's Thor is too funny and too goofy and too silly, you haven't read fucking Howard the Duck.
Who, by the way, is going to make an appearance in the third season of What If, thanks to Brad Winderbaum, who we interviewed. Yeah. I'm so excited about that. I'm a huge fan of Howard the Duck.
Of course you are.
That movie was fucking wild as well. What was George Lucas thinking?
I had a lot of fun with that movie.
I know, but then the sexiness between the Howard the Duck and Leah Thompson was just creepy as all shit.
It was creepy as all shit, lah, to be fair. Yeah, I agree with you. No, but like Agatha All Along is, like you said, showing us a new corner of the Marvel universe. And I appreciate that. I really, really like that. I think what they did with WandaVision to sort of just open that door and say, look, it isn't just about aliens and superheroes and superpowers.
And the end of the world.
And the end of the world, right? There is a metaphysical, there is a supernatural element to this universe that we're in. It's not just laser beams and flying stuff.
But also there's a very clever way in which they execute each of these storylines. And that's what I love so much, because obviously all of these women are undertaking the witches' trials because they're all kind of outcast witches. They've all got issues. And they all have to prove themselves by way of these trials. But the execution of these trials, for me, feel very in line with what they were trying to do with WandaVision. So in tone, it is very similar. It's not a repetition of the same thing. They're not going through the different eras of television, for example. But at the same time, there are all of these great pop culture references and crazy connections that happen in each of those trials. At least the 4 that we've seen that are absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And like, it is so much fun. Joe Locke as well plays a sidekick of Agatha in this one, and we don't know who he is yet.
I feel like there's something more there.
There are some theories. We don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
But we have no idea who he's related to or why.
Yeah.
But there is that added mystery for us to unravel too, and I like that Jack Schaefer has done that, because WandaVision was one big fucking mystery. Every episode, I remember we sitting there, we're watching it, we're looking out for Easter eggs, we're trying to figure out what is going on, and there are all of these hints that are dropped in every episode, and that mystery box element is still there in this one. There's also crazy ass singing, which is I love this stuff. I just love how nuts this TV show is.
Look, Agatha All Along really feels like Jack Schaefer, and even for Marvel Studios or Marvel Studios TV, really swinging for the fences. This is a big swing, and honestly, I like it because it's a mini-series. If people don't like it, it doesn't matter, right? You just take a big swing and see what happens. If it works, then over the course of the 9 episodes, they've established Catherine Hahn's Agatha. Maybe that comes into somewhere else. That's fine. If not, it's okay. Just take a big swing. As much as I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it felt too MCU. It felt too much like something I've already seen. Whereas this is exactly what I want from a Marvel Studios TV show.
I want them to explore every aspect of the giant content library they have, and not just give us superhero stuff after superhero stuff. Because growing up, we would also buy those random comics, have a read, discover new characters, discover new worlds. And I feel like this show goes a long way to giving us that.
Again, this is just us whinging on and on about it. It's okay if you don't like it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
There are comics that we don't read because it's not for us, and that's fine. I wish those comics success. Don't be a dick and try and get this show torn down. If you don't like it, that's fine. Move on with your life.
But it feels like this is that step that Marvel is taking, right? Which is really growing out the kinds of TV shows and genres that they want to put out there. And also this idea that maybe not everything is completely interconnected, and so not everything needs to be watched and not everything needs to be for you.
Mm.
So you can watch WandaVision and Agatha and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Besides, the only other connection from WandaVision is in Multiverse of Madness. That story hasn't been touched anywhere else.
Yeah.
So actually, you don't even have to watch Multiverse of Madness. If you watch WandaVision, you get a general idea of where Agatha is, and then you can jump straight into this. You don't have to watch all of the intervening TV shows and movies.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is a step in the right direction. It also feels like Marvel is diversifying in a certain way, and I'm really enjoying this. It's a lot of fun, and man, Catherine Hahn can do no wrong. She is so great. In episode 1, I can't say any anymore, but just the way she plays Agatha in episode 1 and then transitions to a different Agatha in episode 2, 3, and 4, like that episode 1 performance was perfect, was chef's kiss.
In episodes 2, 3, and 4, she isn't the same Agatha that we saw in WandaVision.
No.
She's got doubts. She's questioning, and she's...
Because she doesn't have her powers anymore.
Yeah, but she's trying to hide all of that from the Coven, right? She's trying to hide the knock on her confidence that she's had post WandaVision, but she's still trying to put up the front of being the same Agatha that everybody's afraid of.
I can't wait. I can't wait for all 9 episodes. The first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along are now showing on Disney Plus Hotstar and Disney Plus. Episodes then drop weekly all the way to October 30th, just before Halloween. The final 2 episodes drop on October 30th. We strongly urge you to check it out. We absolutely love it. It is a wild ride. Let us know what you think once you've seen it. Goggler MY, all of our social media feeds. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline, 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.